On the last part, we talk about the book of Iliad as the part of the Trojan War itself. Actually, the book of Iliad itself is specifically focused on about someone by the name of Achilles and his rage and his anger. The book of Iliad does not tell us the beginning of the war, and the book of Iliad does not tell us like the ending of the war. It was just like somewhere in the middle, in between. Okay, let's start from the beginning about Trojan War. How does it started? Okay, the story goes like this. Well, this is a Greek mythology, if you're asking me. Is this story is real? Is this story are facts? Well, it's a fiction. It's a fictional oral tradition that passed down from one generation to another generation by the ancient Greeks. Of course, they add up here and there all of the stories. Anyway, so the Trojan War begins with the quarrel among the goddesses, the three goddesses, Athena, Hera, and Aphrodite. One day, all of the gods, they were invited into a big wedding party, a wedding party of a human king by the name of Peleus and a goddess by the name of Tethys. Tethys and Peleus. So, sounds familiar? Yes, Peleus and Tethys is the parents of Achilles. Now, in this wedding, there was this one particular goddess who were not invited, and then she is the goddess of discord. So apparently, the goddess of discord were not invited into this wedding party. Well, if you think about it, who would want to invite someone who start a discord or who start a quarrel? Nobody, right? So, this goddess by the name of Eris, or the goddess of discord, she was not happy. So therefore, she has a trick. If I cannot join the party, then I'm going to ruin the party. That's what she said. She ruined the party by rolling the golden apple that attracts everyone's attention, that attracts every guest's attention, and then like everybody in that party desire to have that golden apple. And then the quarrel starts among the goddesses. To cut the story short, including these three goddesses as I mentioned earlier, Hera, Aphrodite, and Athena. So they quarrel, as they quarrel, they involve someone, a human being by the name of Paris. They decided to choose a mortal to decide who deserved to win the golden apple. And then all of these three goddesses, they tried to convince this mortal by the name of Paris. Yes, his name is Paris. These three goddesses, Hera, Aphrodite, and Athena, one by one, they tried to convince Paris that why they should become the winner. Hera, she offered Paris strength and power. If Paris choose Hera as the winner of the golden apple, then Hera promised that Paris will become like the strongest man on earth. And meanwhile, Athena, as the goddess of wisdom, she offered Paris, if Paris choose her, Athena will make Paris as the wisest man on earth. And last but not least, Aphrodite, as the goddess of love and beauty, will give her the most beautiful woman as his wife. And Paris chose Aphrodite. Aphrodite won the golden apple, and in return, Aphrodite gave Paris the most beautiful woman in Greece during those times, and her name is Helen. However, here's the twist. Helen is the wife of a Spartan king, someone by the name of Menelaus. Menelaus is the husband of Helen. It depends on which version that you read. So, some said that Paris stole Helen from Menelaus. Some said that Helen voluntarily fell in love with Paris and then betraying her husband. Whichever the version that you heard about, of course, this is like make Menelaus, the king of Sparta, the wife of Helen, very, very upset. He was angry and then he want his wife to return to him. He will find Paris to the end of the world. He will chase Paris to the end of the world and then give him a lesson not to steal someone's husband. Not to steal someone's wife. And here's the stories getting more interesting. Do you remember someone by the name of Agamemnon? In my video about Mycenaean, I put the link over there. Okay? So, Agamemnon, he was like the mightiest king of Greece during this time. And he was well known for one thing. He will be happy. His ambition is to destroy Troy. Now, I skip a lot of details. At this moment, Paris, it turned out to be as the fate goes up, as the fate goes by, as the story goes by, Paris turned out to be, he was not just an ordinary shepherd, he was the prince of Troy. He was the son of a Trojan king, someone by the name of King Priam. So Paris, he took Helen all the way to Troy with the hope that he can find the safety inside of the city of Troy. One special thing about the city of Troy, it has a massive, tall wall. It cannot be penetrated. It never been breached before. As I said earlier, Agamemnon really wants to destroy Troy. Unfortunately, he did not have enough troops, he did not have enough supporters to join together with him to destroy Troy. This particular event that Helen was being stolen by Paris, it's a golden ticket for Agamemnon to convince everyone in Greece at the time to be united, and then to invade Troy. Now, the story goes by, as Agamemnon, he tried to uniting Greeks to invade Troy, there's this two personality that he also recruit. One is Achilles. Achilles, he don't like Agamemnon. For some reason, he never likes Agamemnon. Nevertheless, he still joined the war. He still joined the war for what? For adventure. Another personality that Agamemnon tried to convince him to join the war is someone by the name of Odysseus. Now, Odysseus, he is a king of Ithaca. Now, he was like, of all of these Greek kings, he was the wisest. He do not want to join the war. He know the war can only means end up with bad things. And then he know this war is just useless. Nevertheless, he joined Agamemnon because King Agamemnon, he's a bully. So, yeah, he's a bully king. Achilles' mother was a goddess by the name of Tethys. When Achilles was a baby, his mother dipped him into a magical river, make him immune to all of any kind of like weapons. His skin will be as hard as an iron, except for the ankle part. The mother give Achilles a warning. Achilles, if you go to this battle, then you will die at a young age. But if you choose wisely not to go, then you stay, you will live happily ever after, and you will die peacefully as an old man. So Achilles decided the first one. He would rather to go to the war for adventure, to build for himself a reputation. He was being accompanied by his best friend, someone by the name of Patroclus, it has an interesting kind of like role in the story. Off they go, Agamemnon and the whole Greeks invading Troy. Just right before Agamemnon and the whole Greeks fleet tried to go across the Aegean Sea to Troy, all of a sudden, the wind stops blowing. With the wind stops blowing, that means their ships will not gonna go anywhere. Their ship were stuck in the harbor. They cannot go because simply they have no wind. Now, there was this horrible things that Agamemnon did. Agamemnon, he sacrificed his own daughter so he will get the blessings from the god, and then the gods will give him the wind. The gods will give the ships push all of the ships into the sea. Of course, this kind of like horrible act that Agamemnon did, it was one of the evidence that Agamemnon, he was blinded by his ambition to destroy Troy. And then he will reap the consequences later on in the end of his life though. Okay, I skipped a lot of details about the war itself. So technically the war itself is a stalemate, it's a long overdue war. The war was lasted for about 10 years and none of them are winning. The Trojans, they are staying inside of the city and then they were being protected by their massive city wall, because as long they are inside of the wall, they are safe. They have enough food, they have enough water, they have enough everything inside of the city wall. Meanwhile, the Greeks, they could not enter the city simply because of the wall. Now, why the Trojans cannot win? They could not get rid of the Greeks because one particular thing. The Greek had a hero by the name of Achilles. Well, actually, not just Achilles. The Greeks also have a lot of other heroes like Ajax, the big Ajax, the minor Ajax, Odysseus, other Greeks. But then again, of the prominent of all of this Greek hero is Achilles. Now, as long Achilles is fighting together with the Greeks, they have a higher chances to win the war. If you watch my first part of my video, what happened with Achilles? Achilles, on the 10th year, he refused to fight. Somewhere in the middle of the war, towards the end of the 10th year, Achilles refused to fight because that he had a big quarrel with Agamemnon. As I told you earlier, Agamemnon and Achilles, they never like each other anyway. So it just break. And then they fight, and then Achilles refused to fight. So what happened with the Greeks? The Greeks, they start losing, being pushed away by the Trojans. They were being pushed away back to the sea. It is a big deal. The book of Iliad tells the details about that particular story, that one particular story that somehow it turned the story upside down when someone by the name of Patroclus, which is the best friend of Achilles, was slain in the battle, killed by Hector, the prince of Trojan, the son of King Priam. By now, everybody got tired with the war. They're losing too many troops, and then like most of the soldiers, most of the troops, they were homesick. They really want to go home. They have left their home for 10 years. Oh, by the way, at this moment, Achilles died. Yes, Achilles died. He got shot by an arrow right to his heels, right to his ankle. As I said earlier, that was his weakness point. Therefore, we have these terms in English, Achilles heel. What does that mean? The weak point of someone. So how the war ends? Now, remember someone by the name of Odysseus, the wisest king of all of the Greeks? So Odysseus had an idea. The idea is to build a giant wooden horse with some brave warriors hiding inside of that giant wooden horse. And then after that, the Greek present that to the Trojans as a gift, as a peace offering. And meanwhile, the rest of the Greeks, they hide away and they pretend to leave the Trojans. They pretend to return back home to their homeland, the Greeks. But actually they were hiding. They were hiding somewhere. It's very convincing that the Trojans took the gift. The Trojans took the giant wooden horse as a gift. They pull it back into their city, entering the city wall. And after that, they have a big celebration. You know, the evil Greeks are gone, so let's celebrate it with this giant wooden horse as the gift. And they eat a lot, they dance, they play music until at night. They all get tired and they all get exhausted and everybody fell asleep. They eat too much food. They were just off guard. And of course, and I mentioned about like some of the brave warriors were hiding inside of the wooden giant horse. They start to rappelling down from the wooden horse, and then they do some ninja kind of stuff, walking through the city as everyone is fell asleep, and then they secretly open the gate. They open the gate of the city, and as they open the gate, and then they give signal to the rest of the Greeks who have been hiding to attack, to swarm inside of the city. And then when it happens, of course, the Trojan warriors, they were not ready, they were not prepared, they had too much food in their stomach and they were still feel sleepy. And then of course the city of Troy finally fell. King Priam, he died, he was killed. And then at the last scene, remember King Agamemnon? So he only one thing from Troy is to destroy. The last scene was he was standing on the roof of the palace, and then he laughed and laughed and laughed, and then he sang, and then he celebrated how the city of Troy was on fire. Everyone in the city, either they got killed or they were being enslaved. Such a tragic end for the city of Troy. So what happened with the Greeks? What happened with the Trojans? This is like what happened after the Trojan Wars. Of course, the city of Troy was destroyed. However, though, there was this one Trojan who survived. He escaped just in time before the city was destroyed. His name is Aeneas. Aeneas, he escaped with his father and then also some of the Trojans into a boat, and then like they set sails all the way to the Italian peninsula, and they built another kingdom which is later on become one of the most strongest empire in the ancient time by the name of Rome. Yes, we will talk about Aeneas next time. Now what about Odysseus? Odysseus, while the rest of the Greeks returned back home into their homeland, Odysseus, he had another 10 years of misadventures, 10 years of misery. The whole adventures of Odysseus is being written in the book of Odyssey. It's one of my favorite books. You should read it yourself too, Odyssey. And what about Helen? Helen was accepted back by her husband, Menelaus. So I guess of all of this character, the one who have a happy ending is Menelaus. He got his wife back. And what about Agamemnon? I told you earlier. So he did a horrible things by sacrificing his own daughter. So when he came home, of course, his wife is very, very, very upset about it. And then his wife killed Agamemnon in his sleep. So in the end of the war, many men, many brave warriors from both sides, many good men from both sides, many horrible person from both sides died in the battlefield died in the war. Therefore, as the opening of the Iliad itself, resounding, sing, O Muse, the rage of Achilles, son of Peleus, that brings a lot of ills among the Greeks. There you go. That is super duper simplified of the Trojan War. I would love to hear what you think about the story, and I would love to answer your questions. Now, please do let me know. Okay, until we meet again, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. God bless you guys all.